here's another in NBC's great parade of new shows.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
NBC brings you Dragnet. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A 22-year-old girl has disappeared. A letter has been received. It demands $30,000 for the girl's return. The letter is signed, The Wolf. Your job, get him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime, investigated and solved by the men who unrelentingly stand watch on the security of your home, your family, and your life. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 18th. It was cloudy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Ed Backstrand, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the stats office, and it was 3:26 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Got those mugs you asked for, Joe. Here they are.
Thanks, Harris. Backstrand leave yet?
In a minute, I'm going out with him. What's the address out there, the Sullivan place?
814 Castro Boulevard. You go straight out Santa Monica, take a left at Castro.
I remember. You ready, Chief?
Yeah. Friday, you call Romero yet?
Right now.
Get on it. This one we don't fool with.
Yeah.
Come on, Harris.
Hello?
Sorry to wake you, Ben. This is Joe. How you feeling?
Oh, hi, Joe. What time is it?
3:30 a.m. How do you feel?
Oh, a lot better. Be back to work tomorrow.
You'll be ready in 20 minutes. I'll pick you up.
20 minutes. Okay, what's up?
You remember Martin Sullivan, vice president of the Third National Bank?
Sullivan? Yeah, what about it?
Got a 22-year-old daughter, or he had one. She's gone.
Look, you made good time, Joe. Where are we headed?
Sullivan home out on Castro Boulevard. Ed's out there now with Harris.
Any leads to work on?
No, nothing so far. The girl disappeared a little before 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. At 11 last night, he got a letter. They want $30,000.
Sullivan hasn't got that kind of money.
Yeah, I know it. Poor guy's almost out of his mind.
Fill me in. How did it happen?
Well, the guy took the girl out of business school. He had her called out of class. Told her father was sick, said he was a friend of the family.
Well, how about the teachers? What was their story?
Said the girl didn't want to go with the man at first, but he finally talked her into it. Kept telling her father was dying.
That's about as low as they come.
Yeah.
Did he use a car?
Witnesses said it was a blue sedan. They didn't get the license number or the make.
Did they remember what the guy looked like?
About 5'9", 160, brown suit, dark hair.
Nothing else?
No. Here's a copy of the letter. The usual. Read it.
Yeah. I have your daughter, Judy. Get, what's that?
$30,000.
$30,000 quick if you want her back alive. Don't call police or I'll kill her. Contact you later. Signed, what was it?
The Wolf.
Oh, Wolf. Huh?
I could think of a better name. Come on, here we are.
Who's got the original note, Joe?
Lee Jones down at the crime lab. He's checking it for prints and handwriting.
Well, if he was... Oh, hi, David.
Right on the house, boys. Just wait for you.
Thanks, Dave.
Hi, Joe. Ben. In the living room.
Thank you.
That's the way I see it, Mr. Sullivan. Now, you understand exactly what you have to do?
Yes, I'll do as you say.
All right. Here are the two men who will help you. Sergeant Friday and Sergeant Romero, homicide.
Yes, how do you do?
I do.
Mr. Backstrand, are you sure about all this? He might get frightened. He might something to Judy.
Believe me, Mr. Sullivan, it's the only way. I know how you must feel, but we can't do anything else.
Oh, all right. I want to see Mrs. Sullivan first. I'll be ready in a moment.
Any developments?
Yeah. Come on back in the dining room. There it is on the table. Second note from the guy.
Telegram.
When'd this come?
About half an hour ago. Guy phoned it into Western Union from a public booth. Couldn't trace it.
I'll see, Joe.
Yeah. Be at Elysian Park, 5 o'clock this morning, near Balkan Drive. Come alone. Bring 30,000. Will return girl. Don't tell cops. Kill her if you do. Or we'll.
4 a.m. now, Skipper. Not much time.
I know it. We'll have to do as he says. No other way.
Then Sullivan's going out there alone?
You're going with him, you and Romero. You'll be hidden out in the trunk of the car.
Any plan?
Get him. That's all.
Ben and I went out the back door and into the Sullivan garage. We jammed ourselves into the trunk compartment, and Harris closed the door on us. The latch was fixed so that the door could be pushed open from the inside. A few minutes later, Mr. Sullivan came out, got in the car, and we drove off. At 3 minutes to 5, we pulled up at the meeting place in Elysian Park. We waited. Nothing happened. At 5 minutes past 5, it started to thunder.
That's all we need now. Thunderstorm.
Stuff in here in this trunk, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Ben, listen. Sullivan?
Must be. Wonder if he's seen anything.
Sounds like he's pacing up and down alongside the car, doesn't it?
Now, listen. Can't hear anything else. Can you?
No. We better stay under cover.
Yeah. Rain's starting in. Wonder what happened to the wool.
Cold feet, maybe. Let's wait it out.
Joe.
Yeah.
What time you got now?
Move over a little. Let me get my watch.
Yeah.
A little past 5:30.
Sergeant.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes. Do you think he's coming? It's late. It's getting daylight.
We better wait it out, Mr. Sullivan. Now, look, don't come back here again. If he's watching, you might tip him off.
Oh, all right. All right.
Poor guy.
Joe.
Yeah, I hear it. Coming up the road toward us.
It's stopping.
Yeah. Coming over to our car. You ready?
Right. You're talking with Sullivan.
They're coming back here. Now watch it.
Brandy, Romero.
That you, Ed?
Yeah, the meeting's off. Come on out.
All right.
Got a cramp in my leg.
I'm cramped all over.
Mr. Sullivan, drive back home. We'll contact you there.
All right, Chief.
Ben, Joe, come on over to the car.
What's the story, Ed?
The guy had no intention of following through with this meeting tonight.
Well, how come?
He told us. Phoned at 5 o'clock. Tried to trace the call. He wouldn't stay on the line long enough.
What do you have to say?
He wanted more money. Bragged about how smart he was. How we'd never get him.
Well, he knows Sullivan's called in the police.
Sure. Said he didn't care. We'd never get him anyway.
Yeah, pretty cocky.
Pretty smart. Take my word for it. He's no dummy.
Control 1 to 80K. Control 1
I'll get it.
80K.
80K to Control 1. 80K to Control 1. Go ahead.
80K, go to your office. Code 3. Go to your office. Code 3. GMA 367.
All right, Romero. Let's roll.
More than 12 hours had passed since word of Judy Sullivan's disappearance had been phoned in a homicide. During that time, an all-points bulletin containing the descriptions of the suspect, his car, and the girl had been sent out on the teletype to law enforcement agencies throughout the area. The same descriptions were broadcast over the police radio every hour. The Sullivan home had been placed under strict surveillance, and Mr. Sullivan instructed not to contact the suspect without knowledge of the police. He'd raised almost $10,000 in cash to buy him off. The serial number on each one of the bills had been copied by a police stenographer and then rechecked by a homicide officer. So far, the Wolf, as he called himself, had made 3 separate contacts, but he'd covered his tracks well. We knew that he was somewhere in the city, 500 square miles of it, and we knew we had to find him fast. It was 18 minutes past 6 when we got back to homicide.
Hi, Chief. Fellas.
You got something for us, Mac?
Here, this letter. Special delivery. Came in about 25 minutes
Can
ago.
I see that, Mike? Stay away from Sullivan. If the kid's found dead, it's your fault. Stay away, the Wolf.
All right, Mike. Get it over to the crime lab and have Lee check it for prints.
Right, Chief.
Will you find any prints on the second note, Mike?
2. Running through R&I now.
Friday, Romero, get down there and see if they got a make.
Right, Ed. Let's go, Ben.
Who's watching the Sullivan house beside Harry?
Carpenter and Davis. Backstrand's afraid the girl's father will try to make a deal with the guy.
Has he tried it yet?
No, he hasn't yet. You couldn't blame him if he did. Worried sick.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are.
Hi, fellas. Just coming down to see you.
You got something, Larry?
Those 2 prints Lee Jones listed off that letter got a make on them from the single print file.
Good, Larry. Let's see, huh?
There it is. Pull the whole package on him. Donald Alfred Kiefer. Looks like a real bad one, doesn't he?
Donald Alfred Kiefer, male, Caucasian, age 29, 5 feet 8 inches, 170 pounds, brown eyes, dark brown hair. He had 1 previous arrest for forgery in Los Angeles 10 months before. Kiefer's occupation at the time of his arrest was listed as bank clerk at the Third National Bank. Ben went back into the files and pulled the crime report. Then we called Ed Backstrand.
There's the answer, Skipper. At the time Kiefer pulled that forgery job at the bank, Mr. Sullivan was one of the vice presidents.
Go on.
Sullivan was the one who preferred charges against Kiefer and saw that he was prosecuted.
Where's this Kiefer now?
Let me see. He was placed on probation, and on May 16th this year, he returned to his home in Omaha, Nebraska. That's 1380 Mackinac Avenue.
All right, Romero. Get Omaha on the phone and have them check out Kiefer.
Right, Skipper?
Friday, take Kiefer's package and this note down to Don Myers. Have him check the handwriting. Then get over to the crime lab and see what Jones lifted off that last letter we got.
All right, Ed.
The faster we work, the faster we'll put this guy behind bars. Now move.
How's the writing compared, Don? What'd you find?
Yeah, looks good. See here? Slants as crosses, double oops as L's, open A's, pressure on the downstroke. Donald Kiefer, Wolf, same handwriting.
Lifted 3 prints off this last note, Joe. Brought them out with the iodine fume gun. They match with the first.
Thanks, Lee. Did you find anything else?
I don't know if it'll help you much. We examined the paper for watermarks and texture. Both notes are written on the same kind of paper. Impressions show both pieces of paper from the same tablet. Checked the density of the carbon and the pencil he used. Both specimens match. Same pencil.
By mid-afternoon, Donald Kiefer's description had been broadcast throughout the area. Bulletins were dispatched to all departments, and an APB was teletyped to the entire state. Men were stationed at every post office in the city to watch for notes that might come through the mail. The bus depots, railroad terminals, the airports, and all the main roads leading out of the city were under strict surveillance. The entire Los Angeles area was broken down into single square-mile districts, and a house-to-house canvass was started. A squad of men were assigned to cover each square mile. Outlying towns and cities were requested to do the same. By 5 o'clock that afternoon, the greatest dragnet operation in the history of the city was underway. We were sure Donald Kiefer was somewhere inside. At 12 minutes past 5, Ben got the call back from the Omaha police.
Yeah, I got it. 6 X-ray 419. Nebraska place, right. Well, thank you a lot. Yeah, bye.
They had a make on the car.
Lots more. The Omaha cops are looking for Kiefer, too. Want him for a robbery there 2 months ago.
Yeah?
In that robbery, he used a stolen 1939 blue sedan. Nebraska license plate, 6 X-ray 419.
How about his family and his friends back there? They all been checked?
Yeah.
Well, get that car description to communications, huh? APB, teletype, and broadcast. I'll tell Ed.
Yeah, right, Joe.
Friday, Romero.
Yeah, Ed.
What are you tied up with?
Well, just got a call from Omaha. Make on Kiefer in the car.
Give it to me. You two get out to the Sullivan house fast as you can. See Harris.
What's happened, Skipper?
Martin Sullivan's disappeared.
All right, Harris, how'd it happen?
About 3 this afternoon, Mr. Sullivan got a phone call. Said he had to go down to the bank. I went with him. He had me wait in the reception room, and he went in his office. After waiting 10 minutes, I got suspicious and went in. He was gone. That's it.
Did he get any more money?
This morning, $5,000.
Did you get the serial numbers off the bills?
Yeah. Shouldn't have let him get out of my sight.
Forget it. Right now, we've got to find out where he's gone to meet Kiefer.
Did you talk to Mrs. Sullivan about it, Harris?
She says she doesn't know anything about it.
Let's try her again. Come on, let's go inside.
All right, fellas.
All right. Where's Mrs. Sullivan, Dave?
Back in the sitting room, lying down. Doctor's with her.
Come on. What time you got, Ben?
6:35.
I'll get it. Hello? Well, where are you? Oh. Where are you now? Where are you now? We'll be right out. That was Martin Sullivan. He met with Kiefer out in Laurel Canyon.
Did he get his daughter back?
Yeah. Wrapped in newspapers. All cars in the area were notified that a contact had been made with Kiefer. We got in the car and drove out to Laurel Canyon. The entire area had been blocked off. We found Martin Sullivan standing in the middle of the road at the end of East Winding Way. 500 feet down the hill was a private residence where Sullivan had telephoned us. It was the only building in the immediate vicinity. A few yards beyond the point where East Winding Way ended, back in a clump of tall grass, we found the body of Martin Sullivan's daughter. We notified the crime lab, Chief Backstrand in the coroner. Despite a severe state of emotional shock, Martin Sullivan tried to tell us the story.
He said Judy was all right. I believed him. I wanted her back. Judy. I tricked the officer, the one watching me. He said, come along, no police.
Did you see his car, Mr. Sullivan?
I wanted her back. I wanted Judy back. I did as he said. I drove here at 6 o'clock and I waited. I put the money on the front seat like he said.
Did he get the money, Mr. Sullivan?
And I got out, left parking lights on. I stood up there by the end of the road, waiting.
Mr. Sullivan.
And he drove up. He took the money. Then he came up to me. He had a gun. I wanted Judy back. He had a gun.
Did you see his car?
He said she was up there, beyond the road, tied to a tree. I wanted her back.
Mr. Sullivan, did you see his car?
I went to look for Judy. He drove away. She wasn't there. By the tree. Couldn't find her. On the way back, I saw her bundle on the way back. Let me find her. He killed her. Let me find her.
Before he went into a state of complete collapse, we showed Martin Sullivan a picture of Donald Alfred Kiefer. He definitely identified him. The information was immediately relayed back to Central Division, rebroadcast to the entire police radio system. A teletype was dispatched to sheriff's offices, and communications were sent to police stations throughout the country. The house-to-house search throughout the entire city intensified. The dragnet in which we hoped to trap Donald Kiefer was drawing slowly inward. It was 12 midnight.
Street, Sullivan girl murder. Next Street, read all about it. Citizens join search for killer.
Friday, did the papers get a list of the numbers on that ransom money?
Yeah, got them in the final net edition. 2.5 pages of serial numbers gave it a big spread.
Look at these pictures of Kiefer here, all over the front page.
The more the better, Romero. I hope this town never forgets that face. Good reminder. You don't make deals with killers.
Hi, fellas. Come on over.
Find anything yet, Lee?
Just checking over these towels here. Found them wrapped around the girl's body, inside the papers. Funny thing about those papers,
What's that, Lee?
they're all yesterday's. Every story about the girl's disappearance has been clipped out.
Maybe the guy's making up a scrapbook.
How about the towels, Jones? Any laundry marks?
Not a one so far, Ed. Every one of them was clipped off. Pretty smart. The morgue post the body in?
They're doing it now.
Yeah, nasty one.
Yeah. Did you get any footprints or tire marks out where they found the body?
Lots of them, all cast. Bossy and Taylor are checking them. Not one thing.
What is it, Jones?
I don't know. Under the seam here. This towel. Wait a minute. Joe, that pair of snippers there.
Yeah. Here you are.
Thanks. Just back under the seam. There. That's one tag he missed.
Any markings, Lee?
Yeah. Greenway Apartments, Los Angeles.
One look at the apartment was enough. In an adjoining garage, we found the car which Kiefer had used, a blue sedan. Nebraska license plate 6X-ray 419. When we got back to the office, Chief Backstrand immediately issued a cancellation of the want order for the blue sedan, and then he ordered a detail of men to stake out the car in the event Kiefer decided to come back for it.
Here's the coroner's report, Joe.
Oh, let's see it. Cause of death, strangulation. Time of death, Monday, October 18th, approximately 2 p.m.
1 hour after he grabbed her?
That can't be right.
Skipper in his office?
No, he's out for a minute.
Hey, Joe, Ben, take the call off 2503, will you?
Thanks, Mike. Right. Would you give me the call on 2503, please? Thanks. Hello? Yeah. Yeah, when? We'll be right over. Some of the ransom money, Ben, just showed up. Beverly and Highland. Come on. The man's name was Ralph Donahue. He operated a used car lot on the corner of Beverly and Highland. He told us that early that morning he sold a dark blue late model coupe to a man who gave his name as Fred Sims. The man paid for the car in cash. Donahue told us that he checked the serial numbers on the bills after the man had driven away.
Serial numbers check out, Joe, every one of them.
If I only thought to look, officer, and you know I generally do. I'm the suspicious kind anyway, but, this morning I must have been asleep.
You got the full description on the car, Ben?
Yeah, Joe.
All right, let's get it on the air right away.
I saw his mug in the paper while I was waiting for you. Too late. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks. At 10 minutes past 3 that afternoon, another piece of the ransom money turned up at a busy downtown department store. The clerk was unable to remember who gave her the bill. The detail throughout the general downtown area was strengthened. The house-to-house search of the entire city for Judy Sullivan's murderer went on. The afternoon dragged into the early evening. At 20 minutes to 7, Ben and I had a hamburger and a cup of coffee in the drugstore at East Broadway and 3rd. And then we got back in the car, checked with communications, and started cruising the neighborhood again. At 9 minutes to 8, a man answering the description of Donald Kiefer was seen crossing Sunset Boulevard just below Highland. 7 minutes later, the same man was reported near the intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Las Palmas. Communications relayed the information. At 21 minutes past 8, our car, 80K, along with a dozen others, were concentrated in the Hollywood Boulevard area, from Gower Street to La Brea, Franklin Avenue to Santa Monica Boulevard. At 24 minutes past 8, another piece of the ransom money was passed at a cigar store on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Hawthorne Street. The number of men and radio cars in the area was redoubled. Plainclothes officers were stationed at every intersection to keep an eye on pedestrian traffic. At 18 minutes to 9, the dark blue coupe, which Kiefer had bought that morning, was spotted parked in an alley just below Hollywood Boulevard and Cahuenga. We called Ed Backstrand.
City Hall.
2503.
2503.
Chief of Detectives Office, Anna.
It's Friday, Mike. Chief there?
Yeah, wait a minute. Just going out the door. Ed, it's for you. Backstrand?
Friday, Ed. Just spotted Kiefer's car, the one he bought this morning, parked in an alley off Cahuenga.
Harris and I are on our way up there now. We'll take care of the car. You take care of this call. Just came in.
What do you got?
The theater on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Fairview. The girl in the box office just took in a $10 ransom bill.
Yeah?
She got a good look at the man who passed the bill. She says it's Kiefer.
All right, Ben, come on.
Yeah. You've got the list of serial numbers?
Right here. Let's check at the window.
Yes, sir. How many, please?
Police officers. Sergeant Romero, Sergeant Friday.
Oh, yes, sir. Mr. Rayburn, the police are here. Would you step around to the side door, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
Margie, relieve Francis for a minute. Francis, come here. Bring that $10 bill with you.
Sharp girl, officer, that Francis. Sharp.
Here it is, Mr. Rayburn.
All right, Sergeant. There you are. $10 bill and the list of serial numbers.
Check out all right, Ben?
That's it, Joe. Good work, man.
You reported the man came in about a half hour ago. You're sure it was Kiefer?
Yes, sir. I have his picture in the box office just behind the change machine. I recognized him right away.
And as far as you know, he hasn't left the theater.
That's right, sir.
All right, Mr. Rayburn, I'm sorry. I'm afraid we'll have to interrupt the show.
Anything you say, Sergeant. Anything.
Ben, you keep an eye on the front exit. I'll call communications.
All right, Joe.
80K to Control 4. 80K to Control 4.
80K, go ahead.
Control 4, clear all frequencies. The Sullivan murder suspect, Donald Kiefer, has been located in the theater on the southeast corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Fairview. Have all units surround the area.
80K, roger. Attention all units. Attention all units. Assist 80K at the theater on the southeast corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Fairview. The Sullivan murder suspect has been located in the theater. Go ahead, 80K.
Control 4, have all units converge in the general area, Hollywood Boulevard and Fairview. Unit 62R to block off the intersection at Hollywood Boulevard and North Cherokee. Stop all pedestrian and vehicular traffic. Unit 61A to block the intersection at Hollywood Boulevard and Hudson Street. Stop all pedestrian and vehicular traffic. Unit 71 and 72R to block the alley behind the theater. Unit 66 and 67R to assist at main entrance to the theater. Within a few minutes, the 1/2 mile area around the theater was completely blockaded. Every exit and entrance to the theater was covered. At 9:23, we met Harris and Ed Backstrand in the theater manager's office. Backstrand outlined our plan of operation. At 9:28, a detail of 14 men walked down the side aisles on the main floor of the theater and took up their posts on either side of the orchestra pit. The picture was stopped and every light in the theater was turned on. Ed Backstrand, Harris, Ben, and I went down the aisle and up onto the stage. Backstrand made the announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry to interrupt the picture, but this is important. We're police officers. We've traced the murderer of Judy Sullivan to this theater. He is in this theater now. Now we're going to search the theater row by row, and we'd like to ask your cooperation. There's no need to be panicky or afraid. Those who wish to leave now may do so. Leave by the main entrance. Each one of you will be checked as you go out the door. And for the benefit of the man we're looking for, don't try to escape. Every exit is covered and the entire area is blockaded. Don't place any more lives in jeopardy.
Come on, Ben.
Backstage, Joe. We can make it from there.
All right, let's go. Come on, hustle it, Ben.
Yeah. The next building. You'll probably try to jump for it.
All right, watch it. I think this door leads out to the roof.
There he goes.
All right, Keeper, hold it.
Don't shoot, I give up.
Throw your gun down. Over here.
Don't shoot. Don't.
Let's get him.
All right, coppers. I got it figured. They won't top me for this. Didn't know what I was doing.
Put the cuffs on him, Ben.
Get away from me, you crump!
You shouldn't have hit him, Keeper. All right, Ben. Try the cuffs now.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get him in out of the rain.
What's the hurry?
Why spoil a good rain?
The story you have just heard is true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
Donald Alfred Kiefer was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the state penitentiary. You have just heard the 15th in a new series of authentic cases transcribed from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Acting Chief of Police, W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Tonight's program is dedicated to Deputy United States Marshal John B. Glenn of Boise, Idaho, who on the morning of July 31st, 1940, gave his life so that yours might be more secure.
We take you now by transcription behind the scenes of a police headquarters in a great American city, where pass before us the innocent, the vagrant, the thief, the murderer. This is The Lineup.
ahead, Kenneth. Go ahead.
Wasn't this close enough?
Well, not quite. The chair right down there.
Oh.
Go ahead. You don't have to be afraid. Light's on them, not you. They can't see you. All right. Sit down, Kenneth.
Yes, sir.
May I have your attention, please? You people out there on the other side of the wire in the audience room, may I have your attention, please? Thank you. My name is Greb, Sergeant Matt Greb. I'll explain the lineup to you. Each of the suspects you will see will be numbered. I'll call off a number, their name, and charge. If you have any questions or identifications, please remember the number assigned to the prisoner as I call his name. At the end of each line, when I ask for questions or identifications, call out the number. If you're sure or not too sure of the suspect, have him held. The officers who took your name will assist you. They're seated among you. The questions I ask these suspects are merely to get a natural tone of voice, so do not pay too much attention to their answers, as they often lie. Bring on the line. All right, boys, come on, move it along. Snap it up now. We're late this morning. Go to the end of the stage, turn and face front with your hands to your side.
Well, Kenneth?
Come on, let's hurry, boys.
He's not there, sir.
You
now,
sure,
when
Kenneth?
you answer my questions,
You've
I
got
want
to
you
be sure.
Speak up so the people out
I
there
told you,
can-
sir, he was wearing a red checked shirt. I am sure he's not up
All
there.
right.
All right, Kenneth.
Number one,
We'll leave and wait
Albert
for the next line.
Is that Vice or Beast, Albert? Beast. Albert Beast. Vagrancy. When did you hit town?
Well, sit down, Kenneth. We'll wait here.
Oh, Lieutenant Guthrie,
Yeah?
what if this man hasn't been picked up? What if he got out of town or something?
Well, we've picked up quite a few.
But if you miss this man, well, that's going to make things look awful bad for me, isn't it?
That's right, Kenneth.
I've been thinking about it all night. It's going to put me in that alley all by myself. If you don't find him, it's going to be all me, isn't it? And then who's going to believe I wasn't in the store and I didn't shoot that guy?
Well, he's still alive. If and when he regains consciousness, we'll take you to see him.
That's what I'm praying for. He's got to come to. He's got to tell the straight story. He's got to tell you it wasn't me.
Well, I hope he does, Kenneth. It'll make it a whole lot easier if he does.
Hi, Ben. He's not here yet, huh?
He's having his lunch. He'll be up any minute.
We put 6 lines in front of him this morning, Ben, but he didn't identify anybody.
That's right.
And he'll look at some more. He's looking for a man with a red check shirt. But did he recognize the man or the shirt?
Well, I've asked him that. He says he spotted the shirt first, but he thought he could identify the man from size and features, too. A lot of things wrong with this story. We'll go through it again when he gets here. I'm not saying I believe him, but... Have you seen his record?
No, I haven't had time.
Well, it's on my desk. He got into trouble a few times when he was younger. Then, year before last, he was put into the state school, mainly on the strength of his previous record as a delinquent. Here. He was there for 8 months, sent up without any actual evidence against him.
They called him a psychopathic liar and sent him up on the basis of the testimony of others and his previous behavior. Well, he could have been innocent.
I suppose so.
Well, we'll try to get some more proof, if that's what you mean.
That's exactly what I mean. All we've got on him now is location. He was there outside the store that had been robbed. But he didn't have any money on him. Paraffin test last night said he hadn't fired a gun. Yet Wordman was lying inside the store, shot through the spine.
Somebody did it, Ben.
I'd like to be sure we get the right one.
Kenneth Munson, Lieutenant.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Come on in, Kenneth. You remember Sergeant Graham?
Yes, sir. Hi, Kenneth.
Sit down, Kenneth.
Here, right here.
I want to go through what you told me last night again, so Sergeant Greb can hear it all.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about how you happened to be in the alley.
Well, I was on my way home. It's the way I always take. It's shorter than going around by Langdon.
Where were you coming from, Kenneth?
From my girl's house. Her name's Rosemary Kelland. Didn't you ask her about it, Lieutenant?
Not yet.
What time did you leave her house?
Well, it's only about 10 minutes away, so whenever the trouble was...
11:30 on the nose.
Well, then I left her place about 10 minutes before that, I guess.
Any special reason for leaving at that time, Kenneth? 20 minutes after 11?
No, sir. I don't think I even knew what time it was. We were both sleepy, and I was supposed to go to school this morning.
She go to school, too?
No, sir. She quit last year.
Joseph Wordman closed his delicatessen every night at 11:30. Do you know that?
I don't think I ever noticed.
You passed by there almost every night, didn't you?
Yeah, but I passed a lot of places on the way home. I never paid much attention to any of them. Why should I? You think I'm lying, don't you?
Well, we're just going over your statement.
Well, I'm not lying. I don't care how bad it looks for me. I'm telling the truth. I should have run away. If I had it to do over again, maybe I would. I even wanted to, but I didn't. If you're honest and tell the truth, things are supposed to work out
Now,
for you.
hold it, Kenneth.
That's what I've tried to do since I got out of that school. I haven't done anything wrong. You can ask the probation office.
I've got your parole record, Kenneth. It's a good one.
But now it isn't anymore. I've been picked up for questioning again. My record would be better if I'd run away, but I didn't. I was coming through the alley and I heard some shots.
You were coming from 4th toward 3rd.
I was about halfway through. Then this man I told you about came running toward me. I ducked out of sight so he wouldn't see me. When he went by, I noticed a red shirt.
Anything else about him?
Well, it was pretty dark. He didn't look much taller than me. I don't know about the rest of his clothes, but I don't think he was wearing a hat. Now, that's the truth, but how am I going to prove it if you don't find him? I got the feeling you aren't even looking for him because you got me.
Now, quit it, Kenneth. Quit it.
This is just another job for you. You just want to get it off your books. I know that. You're more interested in getting a conviction than you are in getting the right
That's enough, Kenneth. Send him back, man.
Right. Come on. Kenneth Munson. See that he gets downstairs, will you?
Right.
Guthrie. Oh? Well, I'll be out for a while this afternoon, but I'll check with you when I get back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that. But thanks for calling. Yeah. The hospital.
Wordman's still alive, then?
They don't know for how long. They don't think we'll ever get a statement out of him. Need a menu. Just a cup of coffee, please.
Oh, sure thing.
Thanks. Are, you Rosemary Kellen?
That's right.
Police. My name is Lieutenant Guthrie.
Oh. It's about Ken Munson, isn't it?
Yeah. He said he was with you last night. I thought I'd come and talk to you.
Wait till I get rid of this coffee. Do you think he robbed that place?
Well, I'm not sure yet. Do you think he did?
No. I don't think for a minute he did.
I suppose you feel you know him pretty well?
Yeah, sure I do. I've known him for over 6 months.
Well, what makes you feel so sure he didn't do it, Rosemary?
He just couldn't. He couldn't leave my place and all of a sudden turn into somebody that could walk in and shoot a man.
Wordman had turned around to get a gun of his own. He was shot in the back just after he opened the drawer.
I don't care. It wasn't Ken. He couldn't have been thinking about robbing some place while he was with me. It's hard to explain.
What did he talk about?
Well,
I don't want to pry into anything that's none of my business, Rosemary, but there's a lot stacked up against him. It may be false, and I can't learn the truth without asking questions. His record doesn't help.
His record?
Yeah. You know about that, didn't you?
No.
He didn't tell you that he was sent to the state school for correction year before last?
No.
That he's out on 2-year probation now?
No, he never told me anything like that.
Strange you didn't hear it from some of his friends.
Well, I've never met any of them. I guess he didn't want me to.
What did he say about himself?
That he went to school out west for a semester. In Denver, where he has an uncle. He wanted me to marry him and go to Denver when he graduated.
He graduates this year, doesn't he?
Yes, in a few weeks. I told you I thought I knew him. But I guess I didn't know him at all, did I?
What about the money for the trip to Denver, Rosemary?
He said he was going to borrow it from his stepfather, Vern Chris. Ken said he'd promised to give it to him to help him get started.
How much?
$300. And then with what I have saved, it'd be enough. Well, I'm not sure he didn't rob that place. I'm not going to be sure of anything for a long time.
Lieutenant. There hasn't been anything but trouble with that boy since I married his mother. He was 13 then. There's been one thing after another. I've been disgraced in front of my friends and business associates. I've been lectured like a numbskull by those stuffed shirt family relations experts we taxpayers support. Well, he's had his last chance as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to have another thing to do with him.
Well, he hasn't been proved guilty yet, Mr. Chris.
And why is he in jail?
He's being held under suspicion. There's no charge yet.
Well, if I know him, there will be, and I know him. I told him something like this was going to happen when he came out of that school.
Do you think that was wise?
I wanted him to understand what he was and what he'd done. His mother died while he was in that school. She died of shame more than anything else. I told him there was one chance out of 100 that he'd go straight, but I'd take that chance. I'd give him a roof over his head until he went wrong again, and then out he'd go. Well, he's out. He gets nothing from me.
Did he tell you about the girl he was going with, Mr. Chris?
No, but I can imagine.
Well, he evidently wants more out of life than a roof over his head. He seems to have a thought or two about the future. But whether that will stand for him or against him, I don't know. Did he ask to borrow $300 from you for a trip to Denver?
Denver? What kind of lies has he been telling you?
Did he want to borrow $300?
Yes, for some nonsense like buying into a soft drink stand.
You refused it?
Of course I did. How much did he take out of that store?
Well, no money was taken because Mr. Wordman went for a gun.
And he was shot.
Yeah.
Well, I've done what I could. I've given him a good home, times he wasn't in trouble with the authorities. It's not my responsibility, and he knows it. If he's going to yell for help, he better yell somewhere else. I've given him all the help I'm going to.
Well, sure you have, Mr. Chris. Sure you have. I'll try not to bother you again.
Lieutenant.
Oh, thanks. Come on in, Kenneth.
Sit down, Kenneth.
Yes, sir. Did you find that man, Lieutenant?
We've held you almost 24 hours now, Kenneth. According to statute, we'll have to let you go late tomorrow, I guess, if we can't bring a charge against you.
I was hoping you found that man.
Well, we haven't yet.
It seems to me we have enough to bring a full complaint against Kenneth Ben.
Well, it's not up to us anyway, Matt.
Well, who is it up to, sir?
Well, you don't think any court is going to read our report and not recommend a full complaint, do you, Ben?
You never know.
I'll lay you 20 to 1, Ben, if you want to lose some easy money.
Who is it up to, Lieutenant?
The court, Kenneth. Actually, the full complaint is made... Guthrie. Oh? Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, okay, thanks for calling, Dr. Brand.
Dr. Brand?
Yeah. After the full complaint is made, Kenneth, your case is turned over to the grand jury. They look at all the evidence, the report handed in by Sergeant Grebb and me, copies of your statements, statements of all the witnesses. Court weighs all the evidence against you, and if they see fit, they'll vote an indictment.
Then it doesn't look very good, does it, sir?
I'd say it looks very bad.
Well, these witnesses, didn't any of them see the man with a red shirt?
What did Dr. Brandt have to say, Ben? Did Wordman die and turn this into a murder case yet?
Where do you think we should start looking for witnesses that could have seen this man in the red shirt, Kenneth? They'd help a lot.
I don't know, sir. I thought maybe you'd found somebody who was on the street that night and saw him.
What about Denver, Kenneth?
What?
Denver, Colorado.
Oh. Well, I used to kid with Rosemary about it.
Well, I guess she was playing it straight. She's one of the witnesses I was talking about, Kenneth. You know what she's going to tell the court?
No.
A man from the prosecutor's office will be there. He'll bring up your old record where they called you a pathological liar.
Do you know what that means, Kenneth?
Yes, sir.
He'll ask Rosemary if you ever lied to her. And she'll say she's not sure anything you ever told her was true.
No, that isn't right.
You told her you wanted to marry?
I did. I still do. I love her.
Well, not enough to tell her the truth about yourself. You didn't tell her about your record.
Well, that's right. I didn't tell her about my record.
If you lie to the girl you're going to marry, you'll lie to everybody.
No, it wasn't a lie.
Well, what was it?
Well, I'm ashamed of my record. I didn't think there was any harm in not telling her about it if I didn't have to.
But why didn't you tell us you'd lied to her?
Well, it wasn't a lie. It just never came up.
Don't cut it too fine, Kenneth.
You told her you went to Denver, that you had an uncle out there.
I know I did. That was sort of a lie, but it wasn't a bad one. It didn't hurt anybody. I had to talk about something to cover up being in that school.
Well, you must have figured we'd tell her the truth.
I don't know what I figured.
Maybe that she'd cover up for you?
I didn't think anything. I knew she'd learn the truth. And if she knew it'd help me and she thought I was worth it, maybe I did sort of hope that
she'd cover up for you?
Well, it doesn't sound good that way. She wouldn't be covering up for me because I didn't do anything.
You told her you were going to borrow some money from your stepfather so you could take it to Denver.
I did try to borrow some from him.
You told him you were going to buy into a soft drink stand, didn't you?
Yeah. There wasn't a chance he'd let me have it if he knew I was going to Denver.
Didn't he like your uncle that lives there?
Were you going there?
Yes, I was.
Why, Kenneth? Why Denver?
Well, I've been reading about it. It sounded good. I wanted to get out of this town.
Well, get out of town or away from your stepfather?
Well, both, I guess. He wanted to get rid of me.
But you didn't have money enough to leave?
No. No, but I didn't want to bad enough to steal it. Not bad enough to shoot anybody.
You'd shoot somebody if you thought he was going to shoot you, wouldn't you?
I don't know what you mean.
Wordman was shot in the back. He had turned around to get a gun, and he was shot when he got the drawer opened.
Are these witnesses who could have seen the man with the red shirt, Kenneth?
Yes, sir.
You said you hoped we'd found somebody on the street who might have seen him.
Yes, sir.
Where did you see him?
In the alley.
You were in the alley, and you saw him coming toward you in the alley?
Yes, sir.
Then why would you think the witness would have to be in the street? Did you see him on the street?
Well, it seemed like he came into the alley from the street.
You could tell that from where you said you were, halfway down the alley?
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, then why did you say the witnesses should be on the street? You must have seen the man come from the street.
Well, I thought I did.
But still, from where you were, you couldn't have seen him come from the street.
Well, I don't know. I thought I did.
Well, you never told us that before, Kenneth.
Maybe you just remember.
Well, when you mentioned it, it seemed like that's where he came from.
But you mentioned it, Kenneth, and it's very important. That's where the gunman came from.
Maybe you know more about the gunman than you're telling us.
No, I don't know anything.
Maybe he's a friend and you were with him and you're protecting him now.
And maybe he wasn't wearing a red shirt at all.
Yes, he was. I don't know anything about him except what I told you.
He shot Wordman. Then he ran out the front door, onto the sidewalk, and then into the alley, Kenneth. And you're the first one that's told us that. How did you know?
I didn't know. I was coming through the alley. I always go home that way, and then I saw this man.
You said you heard the shots first.
Yes, I heard the shots, and then I saw him. That's the truth. It's the truth.
Guthrie. Oh? And what did he have? And what does he do? Okay, I'll be out. I'll be back in a minute, man.
Yeah.
I know you were busy in there, but I thought I'd let you know.
Sure, Quinn. It's time I got something. Where did they find it?
On the roof of the building that backs on the alley. The ground didn't pay off, so Asher moved up on the roofs this afternoon. They found the red shirt first, bunched up and knotted tight enough to throw with a pair of gloves inside.
Any way to get down from this roof?
Yeah, 40-foot drop.
The gloves show anything?
They're thin leather, but thick enough to stop powder fragments from reaching the hands. The gun was farther up toward the front of the building in the gutters. The .38, fired twice.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see the stuff as soon as it comes in.
It sort of looks like there's something to your boy's story at that.
Yeah, it does, Quinn. Thanks.
That's the way we feel about everybody we question. We don't like it any better than they do. It's just our job.
Well, we just got a break, all of us.
What, sir?
Your story has some basis now. Red shirt and a pair of gloves and a gun was found on the roof where this man you saw must have thrown them.
They found them, sir?
Yeah. Matt and I have wondered why anybody planning a job like that would wear something as conspicuous as a red shirt. Well, now we know why. So he could change his appearance.
Well, then you can let me go.
Well, there's probably not enough to bring charges against you now, Kenneth. Looks like we can clear up the whole thing in about 20 minutes.
How, sir?
Well, we got another break. One you've been praying for. Wordman has regained consciousness. We can take you to see him.
No.
What, Kenneth?
I mean, I thought it was all over.
Oh, it will be then.
Well, I don't want to see him.
Why not, Kenneth?
Well, I don't have to. It's all over.
Well, you said yourself you'd tell us the truth. Oh, come on, Kenneth.
No. I don't want to.
Well, why not?
What? Because he'll tell you I shot him.
Well, you've wasted a lot of our time, haven't you?
They told me he was dying, that he'd never come to. But it was worth it. Every minute was a chance to get out of it. Shooting him was worth a chance to get out of this rotten town. A few mistakes, and I never had a chance to do anything good. Now I don't care what happens.
Send him down, man. Tell Quine to get a clerk.
Come on.
I'll see you later, Kenneth.
Kenneth Munson. Get him set up to sign a confession, will you, Quine?
Okay, Munson. This way.
Well, come on, brighten up, Ben. He had it coming. And he's lucky he's not facing a murder rap.
He is.
Huh?
I hated to do it that way. When Dr. Brandt phoned, he called to tell me Wordman had just died.
Oh.
But you know, there was no other way to get around that kid's lying.
The lineup, where before you pass the innocent, the vagrant, the thief, the murderer. Listen again next week when we again bring you the lineup.
May I have your attention, please? You people out there on the other side of the wire in the audience room, may I have your attention? Thank you. My name is Greb, Sergeant Matt Greb. I'll explain the lineup to you. Each of the suspects you will see will be numbered. I'll call off a number, their name and charge. If you have any questions or identifications, please remember the number assigned to the prisoner as I call his name. At the end of each line, when I ask for questions or identifications, call out the number. If you're sure or not too sure of the suspect, have him held. The officers who took your name will assist you there.
The lineup, starring Bill Johnstone as Lieutenant Ben Guthrie and Wally Mayer as Sergeant Matt Greb, was written by Gil Dowd with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Featured in tonight's cast were Ray Hartman, Victor Perrin, Hy Averback, and Sammy Hill.
Mutual presents Under Arrest, directed by Martin Mogner, and starring Joe DeSantis as Police Captain Jim Scott. Under Arrest.
Into your cells.
Under Arrest, the story of Police Captain Jim Scott's fight against crime.
Captain Scott speaking.
Captain, this is the special guard at the Blake Art Gallery.
Yes?
I want to see you about the alarm you've hooked up for us on the Van Gogh painting we're exhibiting.
What's the trouble?
I'd rather not say on the phone. It's very important.
No, all right, Lieutenant Gavin and I will be right over.
I know, Captain. Come alone. If you don't want to cause unnecessary murder.
Before we follow Captain Scott on his perilous way, may I have a word with you? A deadly killer threatens thousands, a killer that can be stopped short in time to save your life if you realize your danger. This killer is tuberculosis, killer of nearly 50,000 men, women, and children in 1948. You can stop TB. You can protect yourself and help stamp out tuberculosis by getting a chest X-ray.
I started to ring Lieutenant Gavin, but something about the voice told me I'd better appear to comply with my instructions. As I drove out Sanction Boulevard, I felt like laughing. Nothing exhibited in this city had ever been as well guarded as that painting. Van Gogh's The Paris Road was on tour of the United States as a goodwill gesture from a country whose goodwill we wanted. That's why the gallery had a special guard. That's also why we'd installed an electrical shocker alarm, which could only be controlled at the police station. It had been a very hot day, and I stopped a minute on the gallery porch to loosen my tie, and then I went inside. You're the guard here?
That's right.
Captain Scott, headquarters.
There's something I can do for you, Captain?
What was that phone call about?
Phone call? What phone call?
Look, I'm a tired man. Did you call police headquarters about 10 minutes ago?
No, I haven't called anyone since... Oh, excuse me. Blake Gallery. Yes, he's here. It's for you, Captain.
Thanks. Hello?
Police Captain Scott?
Speaking.
I'm glad you saw fit to do as I said, Captain.
Who is this?
That really doesn't matter. What does matter is that there are people in that room with you. Innocent spectators who might get hurt, Captain. If you don't do exactly as I say.
What?
Don't stutter, Captain. Just listen to me. There's a gun somewhere in that room that's very anxious to go off. You can't see it, but believe me, it's there. Pointed at your back.
Here we go again. Why is it that every gun in town just naturally looks up my back for a target?
I'm glad to see you've got a sense of humor. You may need it to explain the next few hours of your life. You see, you're going to help me steal the Paris Road. Now call the guard over. Go on, or should innocent people start getting shot?
Guard, come here.
Yes, Captain.
He's here now.
That's better. Now listen carefully. Let the people leave at 6 as usual in exactly 3 minutes. Then have the guard close the door, but don't lock them. As soon as the doors are closed, put your hands above your heads and wait. Don't move, Captain. Don't try to loosen your tie or anything else.
You've forgotten the alarm.
Don't worry about that, Captain. I realize the Paris Road isn't guarded like it was just any painting. But you see, you're not messing with just any art lover.
I stood there helplessly. There was nothing I could do without endangering the crowd in the gallery. Not now. Then at 6, the people filed out. The guard closed the door as I ordered. I saw then that there was only one place our gunman could hide, behind the large ventilating screen in the opposite wall. But from where I stood, the information was about as useless as knowing where there's a bargain lunch counter in Moscow. My mind worked feverishly. I had to do something, but what? I glanced at the guard, but just then the door opened. A stocky little man followed a gun into the room. Then the ventilating screen shifted aside, and an extremely thin-shouldered man followed another gun into the room. I felt like I'd have been invited to an old-fashioned vigilante party. You see, except for the slits where their eyes were, our intruders' heads were completely covered with black hoods.
Now, Captain Scott, I think you can give us a little help, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. It's such a hot night to get shot.
You got any more smart cracks you want to say, Captain?
Where did you learn to love me so much?
You still want your head beveled, don't you, copper? Now, if you haven't any more smart things to say, call police headquarters and tell them that you're checking the alarm. Tell them to shut off the electrical shocking device. They'll know your voice, but don't get funny. I got a finger that likes to pull triggers. You know, Captain, I never realized how useful a cop could be before. Now pick up that phone and call.
I could feel his gun in my ribs. I had to do as he said. There is a theory, after all, that it's hard to spend a police pension check in a graveyard. I phoned Lieutenant Gavin. He asked no questions. The alarm was shut off. My itchy-fingered friends glanced greedily at the painting. That was the moment when I thought I had a chance to draw my gun. His pistol butt came down on my head like a Mack truck. My eyes saw cobwebs, and somewhere below me, my legs were doing a wickadadjo. Then they parted company, and I got my nap. When I finally returned to this world, the gallery was silent. The painting was gone. There had been murder, all right. The guard was sprawled on the carpet with the aid of a bullet hole between his eyes. My head was aching, but I managed to get up and check over the room. Then after phoning headquarters, I looked up the address of Miss Janice Blake, the gallery owner. She lived in the apartments across the street, and I went over and knocked. Door opened, and I was staring at something that even a policeman could tell belonged more on exhibition in an art gallery than owning one. Miss Blake?
You say it so nicely.
I'm Captain Scott, police.
Yes, I can see that. Would you care to come in?
Thanks. Miss Blake, the Van Gogh painting has just been stolen.
Stolen? Paris Road? Why, you're joking.
I wish I were. Not only that, the guard was murdered.
Do you know who did it, Captain?
Not yet. There were two of them.
That hardly tells you anything.
Well, I guess not, except one of them didn't do any talking at all, the thin one. For other clues, I found some gritty stuff on the carpet near the guard's body. It looked like sawdust.
Maybe that's what they make guards of.
You don't sound too interested in the fact that a guard's been murdered, Miss Blake.
I'm much more interested in that painting.
You're quite cold-blooded, aren't you?
Am I? Why don't you sit down for a while, Captain?
Well, the idea is good, but the time is wrong. You seem to forget that painting must be back on that easel tomorrow morning at opening time. I left, dear Miss Blake, went back to the station. I took the sawdust into the laboratory, then I went to my office and tried to scratch my head for some answers that wouldn't come. I must have been looking pretty sour when Lieutenant Gavin opened the door.
Well, look at Sad Eyes. What's the matter, Jim?
Nothing much, just helped the two men steal that Van Gogh painting from the Blake Gallery.
Sure, I just threw Lana Turner out the door, too.
I'm not kidding, Larry.
You mean that painting's really gone? Oh, good Lord, Jim, I thought that thing was fixed up so tight dynamite couldn't blow it out.
It wasn't. In fact, they made the job seem quite simple. Let's get at it, Larry. Got to get that painting back in a hurry.
Yeah, I know. Any leads on who nabbed it?
I know who one of them is.
You what? Well, what are we waiting for?
Facts. They've still got a law that says you can't hang a person without facts.
Yeah, but how do you know who it is?
Larry, what would you say if I told you that one of our friends practically told me over the phone that I had fumbled with my tie when I was standing on the entrance porch of the gallery?
Obviously, he watched you come in.
Right. You see, I was standing inside the entrance porch. The only place that anyone could have seen me from and still be close to a phone was the apartment house across the street from the gallery. And our friend, Miss Blake, lives in that apartment house.
Miss Blake? Well, I thought they were men.
That's what they hoped everyone would think. They both dressed like men. The real man did all the talking. Unfortunately, in a trial, I couldn't even prove that.
What a mess. Got any kind of lead on the man?
Not much, but I do have a hunch. I'm having some sawdust analyzed that may have dropped from his clothes. Check Johnny for me, will you?
Sure. Give me Johnny, will you? Johnny Gavin. Found anything yet on that sawdust? Uh-huh. Okay. Johnny says it's a type of teak wood.
Teak?
Uh-huh.
What do they use teak for, Gavin? Ships?
How about furniture?
Furniture. Frames. They make picture frames, for one thing. I'm going to play a hunch that our man works in some kind of a frame-making outfit. You see, he used the word bevel, too. That's a term quite common in frame-making.
Great. Now, all we've got to do is search every frame-making company in town.
That's right, and we're starting tonight. Now, some of them are working night shifts. Find out which ones and see that the word gets around that Police Captain Jim Scott is coming to make an arrest.
The old scare method, huh? Gonna try and flush our little quail out that way?
I hope so, and if we do, let's hope we can put a tighter squeeze on him than we could on our friend Miss Blake. After all, I'd hate to know who both our odd lovers were and still not be able to make a move. Gavin did a good job. Even honest men looked nervous as I paraded conspicuously through the plans. But nothing happened. It was already past midnight when we came to the end of the list. True Frame Company Warehouse. It was a large shed-like building with stacks of wood piled on either side of long aisles and catwalks circling about up above where men worked at straightening the top lumber. But as usual, nothing happened.
Looks a little hopeless, doesn't it, Jim?
Well, let's go down this last aisle over here. Wait a minute. Huh? See that fellow up there on that last catwalk, the one tightening those steel joints with that giant monkey wrench?
Yeah.
There's something about the way he moves, Larry.
I've been watching us pretty close, Jim.
I'm going to wander down that aisle, Larry. I want to get a closer look at that guy.
Looks like he'd use that monkey wrench.
Well, that's what we came to find out, isn't it? Well, keep your fingers crossed. I walked down the aisle. I could feel the sweat growing sticky on the back of my neck as each step brought me nearer onto the catwalk. I could feel his eyes on me, but I kept gazing at the wood and walking closer. I wondered what kind of trade-in value you could get in a policeman's heaven with a head dented in by a monkey wrench, and I thought that...
Jim! Look out, Jim! Look out!
I sprawled tight against the woodpile at one side, and my head ached just to hear that wrench clang against the floor. When I looked up, Gavin was racing up the ladder to the catwalk, and the foreman came rushing around the stack of wood. My friend with the slippery hands was just standing still on the catwalk, shaking his head and staring down.
Hey, you all right?
Yeah. No thanks to your little wrench throw up there.
Those wrenches are dangerous. Sometimes they slip.
Sure. What's that fellow's name?
Hanson, Rick Hanson.
I want to speak to him in your office. All right, Hanson, I'll give you one more chance to come clean.
Thanks.
Hanson, you're not kidding anybody. You were in on that Blake Gallery job.
Thanks for telling me.
That hood may have hid your face, but I wouldn't mistake your voice anyway, Hanson.
My voice? That's a great piece of evidence. Why don't you cops have to have evidence anymore?
Okay. Okay, you can go, Hanson. But don't worry. We'll get the facts on you if we have to turn over every slimy rock in town.
Thanks for the party, boys.
If that guy's not guilty, you can send me back to a beat.
Of course he's guilty, Larry. So is Miss Blake. They're the two as clean as ABC. What can we do about it? Without facts, our hands are tied. If we only had a witness. If we only...
Who's it, Jim?
Witness. A witness! That's it, Larry. We got to get those two together tonight.
What are you talking about?
Just that. If we can get those two face to face, somewhere where they'll talk, somewhere where we have witnesses, we'll get our evidence. Look, we got to work fast. There's an all-night bar down the street, isn't there?
Yeah, Hank Clark's place.
Good. See that the plant foreman sends Hanson to the bar at exactly 3 o'clock. Have him send Hanson down there for some sandwiches or something. Then meet me at that bar as soon as you can.
Right.
I'll figure up a way of having the lady friend come too. Larry, I think things are beginning to crack for us. I left Gavin and raced across town to Miss Blake's apartment. I slid a note under her door and rang the buzzer. Then I went to Hank Clark's. After Gavin and I had briefed Hank, we hid underneath the bar so that we could see out but couldn't be seen. We waited. I watched the clock, and I thought of some of the sharply worded cables that would fly back and forth between a couple of countries if that painting wasn't back in the morning. I glanced over at Gavin. The only thing his scowling face was thinking about was why the police manual had never taught him how to squat under a bar. Then he nodded, and I saw that Miss Blake had come through the door. Shouldn't be long now, Larry. I think she'll get right to the point when Hanson gets here.
How'd you get her here?
Just left her a note telling her to come here at 3, signed it you-know-who. I imagine she and Hanson had agreed to keep clear of each other for a few days, less chances. That's why she's so nervous.
Hank's got us sitting over at the right table.
Yeah. What time is it?
3 on the nose.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. And speaking of ghosts, here comes Hanson through the door.
Hasn't seen her yet. Now he's looking over that way. He doesn't seem to recognize her.
Huh?
Hey, Hank, how about a couple of bottles of cold beer to take out?
Coming up. It'll be 60 cents.
See you later, Hank.
Jim, there must be a mistake. They saw each other, but... Say, maybe they were wise to us and pretended or something, huh?
No, they wouldn't have even shown up if they were wise to us.
You still sure they're the ones?
Yeah. And I'm sure they pulled that job together. That's what I can't figure out. Those two don't even know each other.
We'll continue our drama in just a moment. National, state, and local law enforcement officers stand guard to protect you and your family against crime. But you and you alone can stand guard against tuberculosis. For your own chest is the hunting ground for TB, the disease that last year claimed nearly 50,000 victims. Yet, as deadly as tuberculosis can be, a chest X-ray taken in time will seek out this killer so that modern medical science and treatment are able to effect a cure and to prevent the spread of tuberculosis. It is a crime in this day of medical advancement to permit tuberculosis to claim thousands of lives needlessly when chest X-rays are available easily and in many communities at no cost to you. But an estimated 500,000 cases of tuberculosis exist in the United States now, and only half of these are known to health departments. You yourself may have tuberculosis and not know it, for TB in its early stages frequently has no symptoms. Only a chest X-ray can tell you positively that you do not threaten your own life and the lives of your family and friends. See your local doctor or health authorities. Check your chest. Get a chest X-ray at once. Be safe. Be sure. Do your part to stop tuberculosis. Now, we return you to Under Arrest.
Gavin and I went back to the station house and dropped down like a couple of beaten rag dolls. Time slipped past, and then it was daylight again. Just 1 hour until the gallery opens. We've got to crack this thing, Larry. What now?
Oh, it's got me. How in the devil could they have worked together so closely and still not know each other? What did they do with that painting? You can't just carry a painting as big as that around the streets without being noticed.
No, you can't carry it around like that.
Oh, what a life. Where else would you spend your time trying to prove that a couple of total strangers are running a business together?
Total strangers. Total strangers? What a dope I've been, Larry. Come on, let's get a move on.
Where to? Have you got it figured, Jim? What do you...
I don't know, but if I have, we'll find our answer in the magazine file.
Here's the last stack, Jim. Eastern Artist and Art Dealers News. That's all there is.
Never mind, Larry. I think I found what I want right here. Let's get back and talk to Hanson again.
Well, if it isn't the Rover boys again. What do you guys want me to do? Go out and paint a new picture for you?
Sit down, Hanson. We haven't got time to play with you anymore. Sit down. Where's that painting?
It's home, hanging above my kitchen sink. I've got a calendar hooked to it. It makes a real pretty calendar.
This boy's just filled with smart answers.
Sure, I've got lots of them, especially when the questions are so smart.
Now, look, Hanson,
What do you guys want me to say? That I carry it back and forth with me to work? Sure, that's what I do. You cops haven't got a thing on me, and I know it.
Do you? We know you took that picture, Hanson. We know who you worked with. We'll get you both, but what we want right now is that painting. You couldn't have gone far with it, but it's not hidden in the gallery. Sergeant Quinn's gone through that gallery from top to bottom. I even had him look under the carpets. Have men crawling through the ventilating plates. You'll what, Hanson? You'll tell us where the painting is?
I don't know, I told you. I'm clean. If you're so sure of everything, why don't you go pick on the other guy? Or do you get a special kick out of pushing me around?
The other guy? Gavin, maybe we ought to go talk to Miss Blake.
Miss Blake?
Yeah. You knew your partner was a woman, Hanson, but you didn't know it was Miss Blake herself. Did you?
Never heard of the dame. Have you guys got any more quiz games you want to play, or can I go back and get to work?
Sure. Sure, you can go now, Hanson. See you in jail.
A rat. Jim, I didn't know you'd had Quinn go over the gallery.
Yes, Larry. And I wanted Hanson to know that. I think I got just what I wanted out of him. Good Lord, look at that clock. 20 minutes till 8. I've got to make tracks.
Where to now?
I'm going to the gallery, but I want you to stay here and keep an eye on Hanson. If he makes a phone call or anything, I want you to call me at the gallery office right away. Keep your fingers crossed, Larry. It'll be my boss if I got this thing figured wrong. Larry pulled up in front of the gallery. It was 12 minutes till 8. I glanced quickly at the apartment house across the street. There was a light on in Miss Blake's apartment. Then I let myself into the gallery with my pass key. The place on my head where Hanson had tried to fit a gun butt was beginning to throb like a suction pump. But I got around all right, even up the stairs and into the gallery office, where I sat down at the desk and stared at the phone and waited, and waited, and waited. Hello?
Jim?
Speaking.
Jim, Hanson's given me the slip.
Ouch.
I was watching for him by the phone, and suddenly he just wasn't anywhere.
How long ago?
I don't know. I've been looking around here for several minutes, and I haven't
Good
been able...
Lord, I better get over to Miss Blake's apartment. Meet me there as soon as you can. We're lucky we may be in time to prevent a murder. I made tracks out of the gallery across the street and started up the stairs into the apartment building. I wondered if I would get there in time to keep Hanson from playing target games with Miss Blake as the target. But I didn't know how much of a start Hanson had. I rounded the first flight and started up the second. Sounded like a rather lovely art dealer had just been put out of business. I pulled my gun, stood for a moment outside the door, and I kicked it open. Yep. The body lay very sprawled out and very dead in the middle of the room. But it was not Miss Blake. It was Hanson. The rest of the room was silent and shadowy except where the gray morning light came through the fire escape window. It was wide open. I rushed over and looked down the fire escape, but no one was there. And suddenly I knew it was too late to grow smart at my age.
There's no one out there, dear Captain. But keep looking. I know how to use this gun.
I can see that, sweetheart. A smart cop would have looked behind the door first, wouldn't he?
Perhaps, but don't turn now. My floor is a little too untidy as it is. My colleague was a most untidy man. It just shows that you shouldn't go into business with a person you haven't investigated.
That's what he began to think when I told him you'd taken the painting out of the ventilator.
What?
I thought he'd be up here to investigate his partner in a big hurry. People don't like their partners running off at the loot.
Then you knew where the painting had been hidden.
No, but when your friend Hanson began joking about how hard it would be to carry a big thing like that through the streets, I made a good guess.
And when you told him it wasn't in the ventilator, he thought I'd double-crossed him. Well, you were nearer right than you thought, Captain. I wouldn't share that painting with anybody. Not anybody.
You've got it bad, haven't you?
That painting is mine. Just mine. It made me sick to even let that crude little man touch it.
And me? I suppose I get shot for having touched it, too.
Yes. Yes, I'm afraid you get shot, too. But not for the same reason. I had a hunch when you first came here that you might catch up with me. I should have shot you then, but you're not the kind of man a woman cares to shoot.
I always knew I was in the wrong profession.
You'd have made a nice partner, Captain. Not like the scum who come in and gawk at my painting. What do they know of beauty? Well, they won't gawk anymore. It's mine now. Completely mine. No one else will ever see it. I'm sorry, Captain, but I'm going to have to untidy my rug with you.
Maybe not.
Oh! You're a good shot, Captain.
Don't worry, sweetheart. You're just scratched.
Jimmy, Oh, I see you've got everything under control, huh?
Yeah, Larry. We can take Madame Dracula down to the station now. Maybe she can think up some more new angles down there.
You think you've got this all figured out, don't you, Captain?
I have, Miss Blake, all of it.
But, Jim, you said yourself they were strangers.
They were, but they worked together just the same. You really let me in on it, Larry, back at the station house when you said a couple of total strangers running a business together.
Huh?
You know the most common failing crooks have, squealing. You see, Miss Blake was wise enough to know that crooks always squeal on each other, but you couldn't squeal if you didn't know who you were working with. So she put this ad in the personal column of some of those art magazines I checked. Wanted silent partner to enter business with very silent partner. Big risk, big return. Call Evergreen 65139 at exactly 5 o'clock Monday evening.
I don't get it. Is that how they met?
They didn't meet, Larry. Evergreen 65139 is a drugstore phone. You still doubt whether I have it figured out or not, Miss Blake?
No, Captain. I'm afraid you've dispelled all my doubts.
Good Lord, you mean they worked this whole job out together over telephones?
That's about the size of it, Larry. That way they didn't have to know each other. They even used drugstore phones where they couldn't trace each other's calls.
Well, I'll be a rusty nut. Oh, and they wore hoods, huh, when they got together. Probably at some place like a darkened park.
It was a smart idea, Larry, and it probably all would have worked had Hanson trusted his partner. But then, if he'd ever seen her without a hood on, they might still be out in that darkened park.
Captain Jim Scott will be back in just a moment to tell you about next week's case. First, let me tell you about nearly 50,000 tragic cases of fatal tuberculosis in 1948. Well, perhaps you say, too bad, but those things happen. Indeed, they do happen, but they need not. For tuberculosis is a curable disease, one of the great killers that has been defeated by modern medical science. Tuberculosis, detected in time, can be stopped, and that's up to you. It's up to you to discover if you're one of the nation's 250,000 TB victims and who don't know they have tuberculosis. And you can be sure easily and quickly with a chest X-ray. In many areas, chest X-rays are available at little or no cost, and health departments everywhere cooperate to make this sure test for tuberculosis open to everyone. Resolve now to check your chest. Get a chest X-ray and be sure.
Captain Jim Scott speaking. Next week, I have an unusual case for you. Police find a hijacked trailer and a murdered driver. This leads me on a chase with a notorious fence, a killer, a baby-faced blonde, and a mysterious button. I'll tell you all about it next week when I present the case of the shining button in my fight against crime.
You have heard Under Arrest, presented by Mutual and starring Joe DeSantis as Police Captain Jim Scott. Today's case was especially dramatized for Under Arrest by Cheryl Hendricks. Original music was composed and played by Milton Kay. Heard in today's cast were Joan Alexander, Ralph Bell, Carl Eastman, Louis Van Ruten. All names of persons used in Under Arrest are fictitious. Any resemblance to names of actual persons, living or dead, is coincidental. This is Jack Farron speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Squad Cars. General Motors and their dealer organization throughout Southern Africa proudly bring you the drama, the danger, the thrills, and the facts when the long arm of the law travels in Squad Cars. The story you're about to hear is true. Details are supplied from the official case filed by the South African police. Only names and places have been changed to protect innocent people involved.
"8:35 p.m. on the 25th of March. Station Street, Port Elizabeth. A police patrol vehicle driven by Warrant Officer Harmon pulls up in front of a parked taxi. The warrant officer and Lieutenant Stain alight from the vehicle.
Are you sure about the registration number?
Yes, sir. CB19229.
The name of the driver?
Gardner, sir.
Right, let's have a word with Mr. Gardner. Seen us coming.
But he's staying put.
Good evening.
Yeah?
We'd like to ask you some questions about the death of a man called Van Hastian.
Look out, sir. He's off.
Just a minute. Stop. Mister, if that's the way you want to play, let's go and get him, Mr. Harmon.
8:36 p.m. The taxi, which was facing northwest, suddenly prescribes a half circle in the road, skidding violently. Then the driver swings the vehicle to the right into Jetty Street. The two policemen run to their car and jump in.
He's not wasting any time.
No, sir.
He turned right here.
Can you see him, sir?
Yes, there he is. Going up White's Road.
He seems to be implicated, sir, judging from the way he took off.
Yes, I thought it was perhaps another wild goose chase. Some crank or other.
How did you come by the information, sir?
I should think it was about 5 to 8 when the phone rang in my desk. Lieutenant Stain.
Constable Langer. Call for you, sir.
Who is it?
The caller wouldn't say, sir. He says he has vital information about a murder and wanted to speak to the officer in charge.
All right, put him through.
Very good, sir. You through now? Speak up, please. Hello?
What's your name?
Never mind that. 3 weeks ago, a man called Chick Van Hastian died. They say he died of pneumonia. Well, he didn't. He was murdered.
Is this for real, or are you wasting my time?
It's for real, all right.
Did this happen here in Port Elizabeth?
Yes.
How do you know?
That's something else best left unsaid. Talk to a taxi driver called Gardner. He drives a cab with a registration number CB19229. He can tell you everything you need to know. You'll find him in Station Street.
Hello. Hello. Warrant Officer Hammond.
Sir?
Bring a car around. We're going downtown.
He's doubled back on himself, sir. He's going down Military Road.
Crazy fool. Stick with him.
Hold tight, sir.
8:40 p.m. The speeding taxi careers along South Union Street and swerves violently into Walmer Road. The police vehicle follows in hot pursuit. At the junction of Hill Road, Warrant Officer Hammond is confronted with the sight of an articulated petrol tanker emerging to cross their path and come down the hill towards town.
Watch your face, sir. I'm throwing out the anchors. Get the thing out of the way, man.
I'm stuck here. I misjudged the turn.
That's all we needed. Back up and go around the block.
Right, sir.
But by the time the two policemen regain the Walmer Road, there's no sight of their quarry.
Lost.
Sorry, sir.
Not your fault. It was that clown with the petrol lorry. Anyway, drive as far as the airport. We may be lucky. I'll alert control. This is Special Duties Vehicle number 2, calling control. Over.
Go ahead, number 2. Over.
Put out a general alert for a cream Detroit, model unknown, registration number CB19229. The driver, a man believed to be called Gardner, is wanted for questioning in regard to an investigation set in motion by an anonymous informer earlier this evening. We ourselves are proceeding as far as the airport. Over and out.
Lieutenant Stain and Warrant Officer Hammond actually drive 30 miles beyond their objective without seeing any sign of the vehicle they're pursuing. Disconsolately, they drive back to Port Elizabeth, where the investigation is resumed early the next day.
Oh, come on.
Registrar, births, marriages, and deaths. Can I help you?
Morning, Lieutenant Stain, CID. What details have you of a man thought to be called Chick Van Hastian? I have reason to believe that he died some 3 weeks ago.
Just hang on. I'll look it up for you.
Thank you. Any news of that taxi, Mr. Hammond?
No, sir. But I've managed to get Gardner's address from the licensing office. The name's correct, sir. Henry Gardner, Russell Heights, Main Street. I've got the car out in the front if you want to go down there.
Good, when I'm through here.
Right, sir.
Hello?
Yes, still here.
The only Van Hastian who died around that time was called Cedric. He was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital on the evening of the 2nd of March. He was of no fixed address and was buried in a pauper's grave.
Have you got the death certificate in front of you?
Yes.
What was the cause of death?
It says here, lobar pneumonia.
Was there an autopsy?
No.
Any next of kin quoted?
No.
What's the grave number?
145 East 25.
145 East 25. Good, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Right, Mr. Hammond, let's go to Russell Heights, Main Street.